Northkeep be permitted to do a mental health assessment for our client. I think the prosecution would be in agreement with that.
The woman charged with bringing a gun on the Northern Kentucky University campus is struggling in jail, while students and faculty are struggling with how the school handled the situation. Good evening. A judge orders a mental health evaluation for the woman charged with bringing a gun into NKU's campus library and pointing it at another student.
24-year-old Jalen Johnson was charged last week with menacing and carrying a concealed weapon. She has since been barred from the NKU campus, and today she was back in court. Local 12's Joe Webb was there and joins us live from Newport with the latest on what happened in court and on campus. Joe.
Well, Rob, Jalen Johnson seemed distracted and a bit confused here in Newport in court today as she told the judge she wanted to be moved to another jail. Across town on campus, students, faculty, and staff learned more about what happened last Thursday in the campus library. And as they learn more, they are raising more questions about how the school handled that situation. Very little was accomplished when Jalen Johnson was back in Campbell District Court for a pretrial conference this morning. It was eventually delayed 2 weeks after Johnson's attorney asked for a mental health assessment. Johnson argued she'd already had one. The judge had to forcefully tell her to go back to jail and that her hearing was over.
I think you saw today it's difficult for her. It's difficult if you have a mental health condition to be in a situation or in jail or wherever it may be where you don't have any control and you may not be getting exactly what you need to get better.
While Johnson was in court, it was business as usual on the NKU campus. But as more details of the incident come to light in police documents, more questions were raised about how it was handled. No campus-wide alert, called a Norse alert, was issued, and many think it should have been.
I was a bit concerned that I didn't get any sort of notification until very long after it happened. And I was right here in this building, and it happened right over here.
A little bit more urgency and a little bit more truth would have been really helpful. You know, I got a phone call from my mother being like, "Are you okay?" And, you know, I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. What are you talking about?"
NKU's new police chief, on the job 2 days when the incident took place, says policy was followed and that no Norse alert was called for.
Well, because she was in custody inside of 2 minutes and the weapon had been seized, so there wasn't any threat to the campus community at that time, so it was congruent, the action was congruent with the Norse alert policy.
Now, students, staff, and faculty members have also complained to us about how the school originally described the weapon as inoperable when it was actually jammed and loaded with 4 bullets. Now, Chief Kachurik said today the fact that it was jammed rendered it inoperable, and he argues that the description is accurate. We need to point out no one was injured in that incident. No shots were fired, but a weapon was pointed by one student at another, allegedly one student at another student, and it was originally told to us that there was no threat. It appears that initially there was. Reporting live outside the courthouse in Newport, I'm Joe Webb, Local 12 News. Rob?
Joe, did Ms. Johnson have a carry license, or do we know how she got the gun or any of that information yet?
We don't know how she got the gun, and we do know that she did not have a concealed carry license. If you have a concealed carry license, well, first of all, on the NKU campus, there is zero tolerance for weapons. You cannot take a weapon on campus unless you're in law enforcement. If you have a concealed carry weapon, they will take that weapon from you and give it back to you when you leave campus. But no, she did not have a concealed carry permit.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much. Jalen Johnson will be back in court September 17 for another pretrial hearing. The judge kept her bond at $5,000.